Welcome to Mastering CS Candid Leader Insights, the podcast where we deep dive into the world of customer success with industry leaders. I'm your host, Irina Cismas, and today's guest is Philip Simon, Head of Customer Success at Rule. Philip, welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. Your background in IT, security, and consulting. I have to ask, what pulled you into customer success? And what was it about CS that caught your attention over everything else you could have focused on?
That's actually a great question. So if you look at my background, I used to work a lot with sales. What I really liked with sales was like finding the right product for the right customer and actually having a good fit for the customer. But what I didn't like about the sales that I used to work with is that I didn't like getting a customer, send it over to someone else, and then they are the one that's responsible of that customer. I felt like I still wanted connection with the customer and still help them to build not only the relationship, but also build around the product. So when I actually saw that Rule had an application the role was called Customer Success Manager over half years ago, I just felt like, okay, this sounds good. What is Customer Success Manager? That sounds like a really interesting thing. You help the customer to success. So the reason why I even applied to that and why I am in customer success today is because I really like helping existing customers and clients grow. But not only when it comes to existing customers, I also like existing people working at the company, helping them to grow. So what I have been doing, I think, last 2 years is that I don't focusing on only customers. So I've been also focusing a lot on leadership. So I'm not only responsible of some customers here in Rule, I'm also responsible of our customer success department and support departments. So we have divided it into 2 departments, but I'm the leader of both. So
that's interesting. And I do have some extra questions about the way you structured your team, but let's keep them for later on because first, I want to understand what's a typical day look like for you as head of customer success and what's keeping you busy lately. Start with that and then we'll go into your team as well.
Sounds good. So I would say it's kind of cliche to say it, but there is no day that looks the same as every day. Every day looks different depending on what kind of challenges you have during the day. But we do, of course, when it comes to structure on things, we start actually the day with the morning syncs together with the whole team, where I'm the one that's responsible of making sure that we have these syncs every day. And we go through actually what kind of customers are getting in touch with us, what kind of challenges, what are people getting in touch with us and where is the problem in the product or the needs that they have. So that is always the way to start the day. Then something we usually also do that I'm involved in, of course, is we call it Rule Daily, where we basically connect the whole team, not only success and support. Every department and everyone working at Rule tells what is the best thing that happened yesterday, what is the most important thing for today, and if I need any help. These are regular things that we do on a daily basis. But when it comes to exactly where I have some things that I need to jump into is if some customer maybe doesn't understand how to do something in the platform, or if we have someone who decided to churn, we need to speak with them, onboarding processes. But mostly I coach and help people in my team grow. So that is mostly what I do on a daily basis. And that can be, jump into meetings that they have to help them find things that they can improve in their role, understanding basically what they want to get better in.
I think you are the first one mentioning. I would call them, because it's similar with the daily Scrum meetings that you are handling. And you basically took the concept from the agile methodology and you put it into customer success. And that's an interesting combination. And it seems like you are balancing the leadership part with also keeping an eye, and I would say 20% of your time on the operational stuff to have a sense of actually what's going on. And I think this is very important because it keeps you connected with the day-to-day challenges of CSM so you can understand their pain and actually provide them real solutions. Now, I want to understand about your customers. And what kind of problems do they usually run into when it comes to digital communication?
That is a great question. And just some really short information about the company itself.
Yeah.
Basically, we are a SaaS solution for digital communication, as you said. So we have a SaaS service where the customer logs into the platform, they create a newsletter, their order confirmation, shipping confirmation, and it really depends what kind of customer you are. For example, if you're an e-commerce customer, the only thing you're thinking about is selling a lot and earning a lot of money. And that can be kind of boring to only speak about. So we have all kind of customers. We actually have over 2,500 customers around the world. We're quite big in Nordics. We compete against big American companies like Mailchimp, Klaviyo, some CRM cost solutions. So we really compete against the hardest competitors in the industry. What kind of customers we have? E-commerce customers, media customers, B2B companies, all kind of customers, basically. So it's really dependent what kind of industry you are in. But I would say the biggest challenge a lot of people have, even it doesn't matter which company it is, it's actually having time to sit in the platform and build things. They want to do a lot of things. They have so many ideas, but they don't sit down and do one thing in time. So instead of having a list where you have 5 things you want to do, they just say okay, we want to do 50 things. Okay, where do you start? They don't even know that. So instead of setting up something, they don't set up anything. So I would say that's the biggest challenge. And the solution part where we come in is that we're really, really upfront with our customers and say, we are not selling consultancy. We don't want to sell hours and do these kind of things for you. However, we have agencies that work in our platform that can help you. So instead of doing the work for them, we highly recommend them to use agency. We want to be a provider for email, SMS, every kind of communication, but we don't want to be their agency.
Okay, so if you aren't actually doing the stuff for your customers, now I'm curious, how do you support and assist the customers overcome the challenges that they have from your CS role? How do you proactively engage with them to help them achieve their business goals from your CS role?
Very good question. I would say the most important thing is to understand why they even have Root. What is their goal with Root? Is it to sell? Okay, where should you sell more? Is it in SMS channel? Is it in email channel? So, for example, let's say that the customer is only sending newsletter to all customers. Okay, that's good. But do they do segmentation? We can actually track and monitorize this. We have a customer success tool for this where we track it and it's working really, really good. So we can see how all our customers are working in our platform. And then we can proactively call them and say, hey, I see that you're not using our SMS feature. Would you like to see how it works? And if they say no, okay, why don't you want to? So these kind of things is something that we do from the customer success part to find what are they not doing in their platform that is connected to their goals.
And in terms of the strategy, is it a hybrid approach? Is it a low touch with a high touch? So it's a combination between those. And how you decided who are low touch and who are high touch? Or how do you split? How did you do the segmentation? I'm curious.
Yeah. So what we do have is, of course, we have some kind of packages when it comes to our platform. We have actually 3 different kind of packages in Root, or it's more like the pricing part. We actually do have a freemium where the customer can use our platform for free. You don't pay anything, but then you're not allowed to get in touch with our support. Everything is self-service. This one works really good if you're either a really small company or if you're a startup. You're a startup, you just want to send newsletter to up to 250 customers. Go ahead, use it. We hope you grow. Now, that's the easy product. Then we have the professional one. The professional is basically our most used one. That one is dependent on capacity level. And capacity for us is dependent on how many contacts you have. For example, how many email addresses you have or how many phone numbers you have. The pricing is based on how many capacity or how much capacity you need in the platform. And those kind of customers, the platform is self-service. However, they can get in touch with our support department if they need any help or guidance or if there is something that they don't understand. But if they do, this is the reason why we also have connected the support and customer success so they are close, is that support department can find customers that get in touch with us daily or several times a week and say to the customer success team, hey, this customer is asking a lot. Maybe they should have a workshop. Try to sell in a workshop for them so they can sit down, ask all these questions. And then it's a better relationship, first of all, but then it's also a better way for them to connect with us. So we find these kind of customers that get in touch with us a lot. But then we also have those customers that are really big, that have the enterprise solution, and they are required to have a contact person, a customer success manager. So those get this daily. And those that don't have it, we instead of like getting them to know that you can buy customer success, I'd get in touch with them and say, hey, we see that you should actually use this. So I would say that's the best way to find this low and high.
I somehow anticipate your answer, but I want to confirm it. What KPIs are you focused on right now in terms of DS, and how do you keep them aligned with both the company goals and what are your customers need? Because there's always a balance between company goals and what the customer wants.
Of course. No, that is of course true. And I mean, that's a really hard, I think for a lot of companies, it's hard to make sure that the customer goals are the same as your goals. I would say that our biggest KPI is our recurring revenue and our net revenue retention, our NRR. When it comes to the ARR that we measure every day, for those that have not heard the term before, how much will we earn if we just stop everything and don't get any more customers? This is the ARR we will have annually. The thing that is really cool with Rule is that you pay for capacity. If you grow out your capacity, the ARR is going to go up and the ARR is going to go up for us.
Yes, you have a venue-based pricing model, which works very well. Basically, grow with your customers. If they are successful, you are also successful as a business. Yeah.
And it aligns perfect because if they grow, I would say 9 out of 10 customers is happy and say, hey, I have no problems with paying more because, of course, you need more capacity and we're going to pay for it. The last customer that don't feel, no, this is not for me. You know what? You can decide how much capacity you want. If you want the lowest one, you can delete your subscribers, but we don't recommend that because you have been growing. That's a good thing. You should be happy. So that aligns really good with the company goals and the customer goals. And we do have a North Star metric, which is basically engaged subscribers. And this is how we help our customers to get engaged subscribers.
How do you measure engagement into the product?
It's quite a simple metric, but we look a lot in the opening rate and the click rate. How many customers of our customers, subscribers open their emails and how much engage in that. It's a simple metric that we actually, our companies also use as an engagement. So we basically just copy that and say, hey, okay, this is a good metric that we also look at. And I can't say exact numbers, but we talk about millions. I mean, we're sending millions of email every day. And of course we get millions. That's how we measure. And it's growing a lot. Since we're growing in customers, they are growing in subscribers. We're growing in the opening and the click.
Awesome. We're going to talk about, because you mentioned that mostly in the last 2 years, you invested into leadership, coaching the team, growing the team. Now, I want to understand, how did you structure it to make it run efficiently, but also staying customer focused? You mentioned something at the beginning that you are leading both TNs and support. Provide me more details about the structure and the way you split this.
If you would ask my team why they like this kind of structure, I would think they would basically answer that the reason why they like the structure is because support and customer success, both of the teams are working with customers and they have daily contact. And why they like that I'm helping them with the leader part is that I've been doing this before. So when I started working at Rule, quite a funny story, but we actually talk about this and laugh at it, that the first day I started to work at Rule, I just jumped immediately into the support. I was alone because this was on vacation. I had no idea how the platform worked. I had no idea how the customers were feeling about this. So I just tried to find, the answers that they needed. So I've been working as a support agent. I've been working as a customer success manager. And the reason why this is good is because I have this background. This is the same as someone who's a sales manager that also works with sales. Because sometimes you need to show them how things can get done. Instead of telling them to just do it, sometimes you have to also show it so they can see it. this is actually a good way to do with the customer. So the way I manage today is that I still keep some customers that I work with.
Yeah.
To have this, as you said, 30%
Right.
But then I also sometimes jump into some phone calls with the customers, win back cases. I show them sometimes like, okay, this is a customer that said that this is the reason why I decided to churn. I'll show you how I will speak with this customer. Jump with me into a meeting and you will see. And then I show them just how to do it. And then they take notes and then we have feedback. So I think that is a good way to structure that. I also sometimes jump in to show it. But for me, it's also really, really important to not do their work. There is a reason why we do have support agents. There's a reason why we have customer success managers, because that's their basically daily basis what they should do. So I don't want to take over their work. I just want to keep them engaged and motivated.
I'm curious because you mentioned the fact that in the first day of role, you've done a bit of support. And you mentioned you are in sales, you did account management, you did customer success. From your perspective, what skills do you think are absolutely must for a great customer success manager today?
That's a really good question. So I think the best customer success manager is the one that actually understands what the customer wants. And to understand that, we do have a way to do. So for example, let's say a customer wants to do something in the platform. Ask them why 5 times. If you ask them why 5 times, you will actually understand why they want to do that, instead of just running and do what they want. We had so many cases where a customer wanted us to, for example, develop a function in our platform. We developed it. They have never used it.
Exactly. Yeah. We know this scenario. And I think that's one of the hardest things to understand actually the why behind what the customer is telling you, because what it tells you, it's not 100% what he wants. He just wants something and he doesn't know how to explain it. So I think, the 5 why strategy works like a charm. And to be honest, this is what I find also the hardest thing to do when I'm running those interviews, when I'm trying to understand what's the value that we are actually bringing for the user. Because they are telling me one thing, but if you correlate it with the other data points that you have around you, the math is just not there. So something is missing.
I completely agree with you. And you need still the balance with what the company wants and what the customer wants.
Exactly.
So customer success manager, it's a really cool role. I really like working with customer success overall. And to understand the customer's needs, you still need also to connect it together with what the company from your end wants and what kind of achievements they have. Because it's so important. We have something in Sweden, I suppose this is something that's around the world, that we call a SMART goal, which is basically, that it's specific, that you can measure. Yeah. And that is so important to have, because if you don't have that, you're just running around circles and doing what the customer tells you to do. Instead of doing it, just backing up. Why do you want to do this? Okay, because this. Okay, why will this be a good thing? Because of this. Okay, whenever you have done this, ask them and understand it in a better way.
What's tougher in your opinion, building a CS team from scratch or scaling one that's already in place?
So that is a great question, and quite biased in that one, because when I started to work at Root, I was alone in customer success manager. So I built it by myself. So I decided basically this is the way we should do. I would say scaling is harder than building. I think building part went quite, because there are cons and of course pros when it comes to it. Because when you're building it, you're alone. When you're scaling together with the team. So there are pros and cons, but from our end, I felt like building it was a really good way to do it. And I learned a lot, but scaling part is easier when it comes that you can get feedback. So you can tell it to your team. Hi guys, is this something that we should do? Do you like it? If not, okay, how should we instead do it? If you're alone and you start to build it by yourself, you're not going to get the same feedback. But from our end, I felt like building was easier. Scaling is tougher because then you all need to include so many more. So it's not only that you need to do it by yourself, you need to include more. And that doesn't only mean that you get a lot of good feedback. It can also be that some people are maybe not on the same page. And then it can also mean that, if it's a fast growing company, that's not for everyone. And then it's a hard way to tell an employee, maybe this is not a good fit, because you need to do it in a nice way. But usually employee also feels the same way. It's tough. It's really tough to scale.
Talking about the staff things, I'm curious how to navigate the following scenario. Usually CS teams have a ton of different things thrown at them. And how do you make sure your team is focusing on the right things and make a real impact with your customers? Because it's easy to get busy and drown in all the nitty-gritty mandate tasks and to not see the big picture. How do you make sure they are working on what actually matters?
I think by just listening in, to be there as a coach and just listen in. Don't do the work for them, just be listening. A lot of jump into the meetings they are in, not micromanagement. That is not what I try to say, because I hate micromanagement and we don't want to have this in our company. I know it's a lot of American companies, it works. But from our end, we really like to just listen in and understand why do you feel that you really need to do this nitty-gritty thing, customer. No, it's because they are really okay. Is the best way to solve this, or is the best way to do something else with the customer that is actually bigger than what they're asking for? So, for example, let's say that you have an issue and you solve that issue. That was expected, that you help them with their issue. But let's say that they have an issue, and not only that you say that, okay, I will look into this, but I do have something that is even better for you. And that is actually this. That is unexpected. And then you will connect the curiosity that you're curious in helping the customer. So I think by just listening in, coach them as much as possible and help them to succeed. Of course, there are some managers who think just if you tell someone to do it, they will do it. That's not how people work. If you tell someone to do it and they don't do it, you have to understand why they haven't done what you asked them for. And then you have to work with that. So in my opinion, there is no bad soldiers. There is only bad leaders, in my opinion. If you don't lead good, then it's going to be the same to the...
Let's go back to the business side of things and to you. And I want to ask you, what's been your biggest challenge lately as head of CS, especially with all the changes in digital communication?
That's a good question. I actually did have a really big challenge. We got a new customer success manager here in August that joined the team. And whenever he joined, I said to myself, okay, he's going to get all my customers now because I have to give them to someone else. And I had customers that I have been having relationship for over 4 years. These are customers that, are so loyal. They really like working with me. We have a really good friendship also outside the company. And to give that kind of, just, hey, I really love working with you, but you're going to have a new contact person. Nothing personal. That was quite tough. We did have some customers who said please tell me, are you leaving the company? Oh no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay here, but I'm going to focus more on the leadership part. So that was a quite tough challenge, just from my personal perspective to give them over. But things have been going so good. And I can also see that they are getting so good attention. And that is for me the most important, that they still feel the same attention that they had. Then it feels good. But it was a tough challenge. Just give them over to someone else.
I can relate to how your customers felt because I know myself that whenever the account manager changed or the CSM with whom I was interacting, for me, it was totally a drama. So starting the relationship from scratch with another person, for me, it was very, very hard. It's something like the relationship broke at that moment and we had to start it from zero. So I can relate to how the customers has.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, if we look ahead, what are your big goals for the rest of the year? How does Q4 look like for you? What are you planning to achieve from a CS perspective?
So something that we are really looking into, because you were speaking about scaling. And right now we have over 2,500 customers. Of course, we can't have a customer success manager for every customer.
For sure.
So what we are looking and trying to find is a way to build customer success into the platform. And this is actually really cool because this will, instead of having one customer manager who tells every day the customers, hey, you should use this function, you should use this and that, the platform will tell it for them. So Rule will be their customer success manager. And this can be scalable. So we can have every customer on a daily basis. Let's say that you log into the platform and say, hey, hope you had a great start of the week. I see that you haven't sent a newsletter in 1 week. Would you like to create one? Maybe you should write about this and that. This happened in the weekend and this is the weather right now. Maybe you should have that in your newsletter. Imagine having that as a co-pilot and same time customer success man. That is so. That is a really big goal that we try to achieve. And we have some really good ideas, but we just, of course, need to find time to build this.
I like the fact that you mentioned technology, because definitely somehow it plays a big role in the CS these days. And I'm curious, how is your current tech stack and how are you using it to keep that balance between automation and real personal customer interaction? You mentioned earlier the fact that you have a CSP. How does that CSP integrate with the other data sources?
Very good question. This is also connected to, as you said, we don't want to remove the personal touch because we don't want to be the platform where everything is automated. So let's say that whenever we actually also have built in the customer success part in the platform, we're not going to remove customer success managers. We still need them to still keep growing with the customer success part. But when it comes to the tech stack, as you said, we have our customer success platform where we use daily basis. We also have a ticket system where we have all our support cases, but not only support use it, customer success team also use it. So we have our own inbox for the ticket kind of thing that we have. You can call us, and whenever you call us, you can say the problem you have, and then you will have someone answering the phone. Then we also use Slack. We use it on a daily basis. It's a really important tool for us to communicate. Since we also have developers that not are based in Sweden, they are based in, we need to get in touch with on a daily basis. And then, of course, a CRM tool use, because some people actually think that Rule is a CRM tool, and we're not. We're a platform for communication. So we also use a CRM tool where we write a lot of things about the customer whenever we have a deal or if we have agreement that is important that needs to be in there. I would say these are like the main ones. Then, of course, this makes sense. We use Rule as our own communication. So when one creates a account in Rule, you get a, hey, thank you for creating an account. You get an email from us. And that was our tech stack, included in our tech stack.
Philip, before we wrap up, I'm curious, who has been the most influential mentor in your career, and what's the best piece of advice they gave you that still resonates with you today?
Without being biased, I would say that it's actually the one I have today. It's actually my boss. He's the vice president at Rule, and he's been helping a lot when it comes to my career. Not only from like a personal perspective, but also, I mean, outside Rule, how to think, how to solve, like whenever, tough challenges happen, he always gives me really good recommendation on how to think and how to act. And he also speaks a lot about, like, when it comes to communication, it's not about saying what you want to say. It's about saying what customer wants to hear. So it's a lot about communication on the recipient's terms. That is the most important thing. And this kind of mindset he has been helping me to understand, so I can apply it down to my team, so they can apply it to the customer. So it goes like a lead.
Philip, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today, and a big thank you to one of our listeners. Until next time, stay safe and keep mastering customer success.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.